Hi everybody, I am glad to introduce you our guest Nils Klowait, the head of the Moscow School's Virtual Reality Laboratory at RANEPA. Good afternoon, Nils. Can
Good
you
afternoon.
please share with us what is the school doing? What kind of research do you implement and what are the goals of the school?
So at the Virtual Reality Laboratory, we do microsociological research in virtual reality. So I guess I firstly have to sort of introduce what microsociology is. So you probably know sociology, and microsociology studies local encounters. So effectively, microsociology is concerned with the things within sight and sound of us right now. So for example, cafes, interactions in elevators, interactions in queues, are very, very local communicative exchanges between people. And at the Virtual Reality Laboratory, we study the same type of interaction, but in the realm of fully immersive virtual reality, which has only recently emerged as a phenomenon for research and is underexplored as such. And we try to make sense of it using the repertoire of microsociology.
Right, and actually, what are the nearest goals of it?
You mean the goals of the laboratory or microsociology in general?
No, the laboratory.
The laboratory tries to understand, much like microsociology, how people interact and basically the parameters of their interaction within a specific environment. So in virtual reality, you can put on a helmet, put on controllers, and appear in the same room as a person 1,000 miles away from you. And you can suddenly have 50 people from different countries interacting at the same time. Yet the tool sets, how they do that, and the physical parameters of the world in which they do it are notably different from physical space. In virtual reality, you don't really have eyes. You have a head that moves, but eyes are not tracked. Fingers are not tracked. And so the way people interact and the way people do things in virtual reality, the way they make friends, socialize, engage in group projects, etc., the mechanisms are an open question. They are under-researched, and we try to understand some of the phenomena that go into interaction within that specific realm and the resources that humans use to conduct themselves within it.
Wow, that sounds exciting.
It's fun. It's very interesting. It's a very new realm, and we're excited to have the opportunity to do that.
Right. What international practices do you use as inspiring examples?
Do you mean as teaching? Well, for teaching purposes, or regarding research? Or...
Well, research and teaching, because I believe, well, you are wearing two hats, but anyway.
In terms of research, the best practice is literally internationalism, I think. An attempt to forge global alliances, to build connections, to interact with international scholars, and to find commonalities of research topics and research approaches that allows us to pool resources internationally. In terms of teaching, I'd probably say that I think that it's very, very important for, as a teacher, to foster a student's ability to critically, proactively, and independently conduct research, to foster some kind of independence, and one step towards that is language, the willingness to go beyond the confines of the curriculum, and the ability to filter relevance from irrelevant material. And I think those skill sets are those that will make education future-proof in general.
Right. And what is challenging for you in your work?
Well, the work primarily. You mean as a specific challenge in virtual reality?
Yes.
Well, it's a new space. I recently checked whether there were any notable sociological research projects in virtual reality, and there are almost none, because that field just just emerged a couple of years ago, so it's like the Wild West. It's terra nova, and we don't really know what to expect within that field, and we constantly struggle with interesting methodological considerations. Because, for example, right now I'm in this space, and you're in this space, and you know that that I see you, and you know that, and I know that you see me. But in virtual reality, for example, you could be in the room with 5 different people, one of which only sees 3 people in the room because they blocked the other ones from seeing them, and stuff like that. And you have real methodological issues that you have to sort out, because those assumptions were not questioned in physical reality, yet are questioned in virtual reality.
Well, that sounds challenging and a little bit scaring.
Yeah,
actually.
it is. It's interesting because you get a chance to really sort of bite into this problem and try to sort it out, because there's no previous experience that you can really build upon.
Yes, and well, how about international cooperation between your school and with well, like with universities or enterprises?
Yeah, I mean, the project is very new, and the topic's very new. And that has the difficulty that there are no established schools of studying virtual reality. So basically, we're currently in the process of basically telling microsociologists and interested parties to, hey, there's this area right now, and it's really productive, and it's ripe for the taking, so to speak, because there is no international best practice regarding this, so we can build this right now. So we're currently trying to establish a connection with a very interesting group of people at Hong Kong University. And we're in constant contact with the Copenhagen Multimodality Group that does very similar things. And we're trying to make a case that this is linked and that this is a productive endeavor in the future and right now. In terms of business and sort of corporate links, we're currently in talks with several people that are enthusiasts like us, but on the sort of technical side, who say, hey, we have to build this, we have to do something with this, we have to kind of make use of this new technology. And because they're still also developing the technology, this is kind of our vector of entering the relationship. So right now, it's mostly about, well, how do we build these spaces, these social spaces in virtual reality to make them useful, stable, unproblematic in an interactional sense. And that's both a theoretical and both a practical problem, and that's where, well, sort of market interests and theoretical interests come together.
Well, I'm so glad to meet the real pioneer of the new,
It's fun.
well, not industry, but, sphere. So.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yes. But how is life in Moscow going? And I mean, in general.
I mean, right now it's very hot. But yeah, Moscow is a very fun city. It's large. It's tremendously large. It's very varied. It's dynamic. And it has a rich history that you can't really understand if you haven't spent more than a couple of years here, I guess. And yeah, no, I think it's a space of opportunity, precisely because everything is so in flux, so dynamic still.
Right. And where do you go in your spare time? What can you recommend for for people from international community?
You mean in Moscow or in Russia in general?
In Moscow and in Russia in general. Please share with us your experience.
So I'll be a bit biased here and say, I guess, 2 strange things. So my favorite place in Moscow is actually the underground. So whenever someone visits, that's the first thing that I show you. Like, don't look at the overground, just go underground and see that thing, that combination of art and transportation and history. So if you have the time, I recommend anybody to just do a proper trip of the Moscow metro. Moscow itself has a sprawling foodie scene, mostly around Чистые пруды and places like that. But if you really want to, I don't know, taste the Russian hipster slash foodie scene, I would recommend you to go to St. Petersburg, which is only a 4-hour train ride away if you take the express, where you can see another side of Russia. But Moscow can give you a lot of different things depending on what you want. It's architecturally very interesting. I would recommend you to take a tour. I would also recommend you to go to the Russian Academy of Science, because it overlooks the cityscape and it's beautiful, and it's a very strange building itself. And that's basically what I do. I just spend time in the city and just take it in.
Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate your cooperation and wish you good luck
Thank
with
you.
all your projects and life in Moscow.
Thank you.